a cheesecake fail, a lesson in New Zealand slang, and the coolest new ice cream maker in the world. This week, it's Milli Kumar and Jenni Matheson from Eat Kinda Ice Cream in New Zealand.
Traveling the world to bring you delicious dishes, tasty beverages, and interesting experiences. This is the Destination Eat Drink Podcast on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network.
I'm Brent Peterson. Welcome to Destination Eat Drink, the travel podcast for foodies. This is the place for foodies who love to travel and travelers who love to eat. And this time, we're talking about an incredible new ice cream from New Zealand with Milli Kumar and Jenni Matheson from Eat Kinda Ice Cream. But first, if you like this food and travel thing, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and give us a 5-star review. And you can also support Destination Eat Drink at buymeacoffee.com/Destination Eat Drink with a contribution in any amount. And if you click on the extras tab, you can purchase one of my foodie travel guide ebooks to cities like Porto in Portugal, Milan in Italy, Seville in Spain, and some other smaller cities too that you probably would love to explore. They make great gifts for the foodie traveler on your list, and best of all, you don't gotta wrap them. Thank you very, very much. Milli Kumar and Jenni Matheson are the founders of Eat Kinda Ice Cream at eatkinda.com in New Zealand. Their company has come up with an innovative way to create delicious ice cream whose main ingredient is one you might not suspect: cauliflower. They use cauliflower that would otherwise go to waste to make the world's first cauliflower ice cream. And nope, doesn't taste like cauliflower, just delicious premium ice cream. Best of all, it's allergen-free with no dairy, nuts, soy, or gluten, and the containers have no plastic and are home compostable. We talk about how they came up with the idea for cauliflower-based ice cream and the experiments it took to get the flavor perfected. Plus, what do you do when your whole crop of cauliflower gets flooded out? And they tell me about making ice cream with ingredients only grown at your house, and the best flat white and matcha in Wellington. Okay, I'm starving, so let's eat.
Destination Eat Drink.
Milli and Jenni from Eat Kinda in New Zealand. Great to talk to you. Looking forward to talking ice cream today.
Hi, Brent. Thanks for having us on.
You know, you guys have such a cool new product. I wish I could be eating some of your ice cream from Eat Kinda right now. Why don't you tell everybody how you came up with this idea? Where did it originate?
It originated with 65 pumpkins growing out of our compost at home, and not wanting to eat pumpkin soup all winter, I decided to challenge myself and make as many recipes as I could. And one of those recipes ended up being ice cream, and it was delicious. So once the pumpkin ran out, it just evolved into other ice creams, and then over other recipes and everything, it turned into the cauliflower ice cream, which ended up being the family favorite.
Delightful. So I was on your website at eatkinda.com, and I was reading some of your history, and one of the things that you talked about was how you had originally, in the very beginning, you had a vegan cheesecake fail. And as a person who used to make gelato for a living, I'm always interested in the things that succeed, but I'm also interested in the things that don't quite go right, because I think they're fascinating, but they're also ways that we can learn and move forward. So can you tell me a little bit about your vegan cheesecake fail, Jenni?
Yeah, sure. So I'll go back a little bit further than that, but my family's been vegan for around 20 years, and back then there were just no alternatives on the market and the supermarkets and everything, so I had to create my own. And I just get ideas off the internet of the dairy equivalents and then try and replicate them or veganize them. And so with the cheesecake, I did a cauliflower cheesecake, I did a chickpea cheesecake, and they just failed, as in the texture or the flavor wasn't quite right. And with the cauliflower cheesecake, because I had put it in the freezer to set and I set it too long, it just sort of evolved, and I had the idea of, actually, this isn't very nice as a cheesecake, but it could work quite well as an ice cream.
What is it about cauliflower that can make ice cream? Because when I think about cauliflower, it's not the first thing I don't think is this would make great ice cream. I think, well, I can make some roasted veggies with it. I can make some cauliflower buffalo wings, all kinds of things that I can do with it. I can make a great soup with it. But I don't think initially ice cream. What are the properties itself of cauliflower that makes a good ice cream?
To start with, it just evolved over other ingredients and turned into cauliflower. But the cauliflower itself, I think, gives it a really creamy texture, and it's quite mild in flavour, so it's easy to add other flavours to it. But you can also add other colours, whereas like with the pumpkin ice cream, you couldn't really have a mint flavoured pumpkin orange colour.
Right, orange and green. I don't know what they would probably be, a brownish color or something.
Yeah. Whereas with cauliflower, you can add a bit of green and it looks pretty.
When I think about cauliflower, I think that it's like broccoli, it's kind of fibrous, and that's the opposite of what you want with ice cream. You want it to be smooth and creamy. Mm-hmm. How do you make it smooth? What process do you go through?
Millie, you speak, you say your words of wisdom.
Yes, what we think is actually the fiber in the cauliflower helps with that creamy texture. And it took us about two and a half years to kind of figure out the technical processes, and it's kind of our IP, what we've created on how to get
Sure.
it that smooth and creamy texture. So I don't think we can tell you that, Brent.
Okay, fair enough. Trade secret. I totally understand. I'm interested though. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
You must get this question all the time though when you talk about cauliflower. Cauliflower kind of has a neutral flavor. It's good to build other things on, but it does have a flavor. So does your ice cream taste like cauliflower?
We don't think it tastes like cauliflower.
No.
Done blind taste tests with our product with some pretty popular dairy-based ice creams as well, and people have not been able to tell the difference between ours being non-dairy and these dairy ice creams and blind taste testings. So we've done a lot of consumer, experiments and research. We do a lot of TikTok videos where we go out on the streets and give people some kind of ice cream, and then we tell them later it's made out of cauliflower, and they're always very surprised to know what the secret ingredient is. So I think, based on the consumer feedback we've had, it doesn't taste like cauliflower. It just tastes like a really indulgent, delicious, premium ice cream, very similar to your
very, very creamy.
I've seen these videos of people doing the blind taste tests, and it makes me even more so want to get some of this ice cream from you guys. I'd eat kinda, but I'm here in Portugal. I'm going to have to go to New Zealand to get some. When I was making gelato back in the U.S., one of the things I love to experiment. And I would experiment with all kinds of flavors, and also with, vegan gelatos and whatnot. And one of the things that I really struggled with making vegan gelato was getting the fat content exactly right, because that's what makes it really smooth and creamy with cow's milk gelato or cow's milk ice cream, is that fat content. You have to have it precisely correct. So I'm wondering, cauliflower doesn't have fat in it. I'm wondering, is it the coconut oil that you guys put in? Because I looked at your ingredient list and I thought, it must be the coconut oil that really makes the fat content right, so that it sets properly, so that you get, even more of that creaminess and that mouthfeel. So is it the coconut oil?
Yeah. Look, for any ice cream, fat, as you've rightly described, is quite important to provide that textural component. And we do add coconut oil to provide it that fat and that sort of the creamy mouthfeel as well. What we try to do is really match the macro profile of dairy ice cream as closely as we could with alternative ingredients. But we also do believe it is because of the cauliflower's intrinsic properties due to its fiber that also help with that creamy mouthfeel as well.
Let's talk about a couple of the other ingredients because, like I said, as a gelato maker, I'm fascinated. I'm looking at the label and I'm kind of deconstructing, going, oh, so they did this. Oh, so they did that. That's so cool. I noticed that you have pea protein in. And when I hear pea protein, I think like it's used in a lot of alternative meat products, like I think it's in Beyond Burgers and things like that. What is the purpose of the pea protein in your ice cream? What does it do for the texture, for the flavor?
We're trying to match, your dairy ice cream macro profile as closely as possible, and just finding the best sort of neutral tasting plant-based ingredients that can match that. So your dairy milk, for example, has protein in it as well, which helps with the ice cream texture. And so we decided to use pea protein as the alternative, like most alternative protein companies do for their products.
Fascinating. And also black carrot extract. Is that for coloring or is that for texture? What's that for?
Yeah, I think that ingredient is actually in the ripple that we use. So our ice creams have swirls. So we don't personally make the swirls. We outsource those. And that's an ingredient in that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's for coloring.
And I give you credit because it's all natural. You could easily use some kind of artificial coloring to get the color just right, but here you are using a very natural ingredient.
For us, trying to create a as clean label as possible brand. So the ice cream itself is super clean label, only, minimal ingredients that everyone knows and understands. And that's just been really important to us.
Currently, you guys have 3 flavors: strawberry swirl, chocolate swirl, yum, and mint chocolate bicky, which, of course, I love the mint chocolate. But as an American, I'm not familiar with the term bicky. So is this kind of a New Zealand slang? What does bicky mean?
What do you think it means? Do you have any clue?
I'm totally clueless. I have no idea. Like a treat, a special dessert? I don't know.
It's funny you say that, Brent, 'cause I was in the US last year and I had a lot of people asking me what bicky was, and I just didn't realize you guys didn't know what it was, but it's a slang in New Zealand for biscuit.
Oh, for like a cookie. Okay.
Yeah, Americans call it cookie. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that. So we have to do 2 degrees of translation. So we translate bicky to biscuit, and then we translate biscuit to cookie. And now us Americans, we understand what it means.
Because Americans cookie biscuit is with gravy, isn't it?
Yeah. So a biscuit would be, I don't even know what it's called in the rest of the English speaking world, but yeah, it's
Scone.
Okay. Yeah, sort of like a scone, but not sweet. So, it's made with flour and butter and a lot. If we lived in South Carolina for a short period, and a lot of these are also made with lard. So folks who are vegan need to be very careful when they're eating biscuits, because not only will they have butter in them, but they may also have lard in them, which is, traditionally what is used. But anyway, so you guys have distribution throughout New Zealand now and into Australia. Is that correct?
Just in New Zealand at the moment.
Just in New Zealand.
Still working on our
working on us.
Yeah.
When are we going to get some in the US and in Portugal?
Oh.
Portugal's very important.
Yeah, definitely working on it. We've had lots of love from all around the world through social media, and now we're just starting to figure out how do we get it out of New Zealand to the rest of the world. So yeah, if you have any ideas on how we can make that happen, let us know, Brent.
That'd be awesome. Oh, you know what I wanted to ask you? When we were in New Zealand 5 years ago, one of the things I was really impressed with, one of the things I do is I love to go to the local grocery stores, the small ones and also the big chains, because I think it's a fascinating look into the local culture as to how the grocery stores are set up and what they sell. And one thing that really impressed me was even in the large grocery stores in New Zealand, they were stocked with beautiful local produce from New Zealand. So what I wanted to ask you, Milli and Jenni, is how do you guys source your cauliflower? Because I'm not sure I remember seeing cauliflower in the grocery stores when I was there. Don't know that I was looking for it, but I'm wondering, where do you source it? Because you guys must go through quite a bit of cauliflower.
Yeah, so cauliflower's grown all different places in New Zealand, all around the country. So it's actually not a hard raw material to source for us. What we also like to do is work with farmers and actually utilize the cauliflower that would go to waste. So globally, about 40% of vegetables never make it off the farm. They're left unharvested. So we try to use and add value to this this cauliflower and turn it into delicious ice cream. So we work directly with processors and farmers to get the cauliflower, and it's not really been an issue. The only time it's been a struggle has been, I think, last year, because there was these massive floods that happened and a cyclone that hit New Zealand. And so overnight we lost all our cauliflower.
Oh, no.
But then we just found it from another region. So it's not been too bad. And from our little bit of research, California in the US is actually one of the biggest places to get cauliflower. So who knows, maybe that might be the way we get into the US market.
There you go. California grows wonderful cauliflower. Really nice, big, floral heads of cauliflower. I think this is a fascinating thing that you guys are doing, sourcing from local farmers. And it rings very true to me because when I was making gelato, I used to, one of the ways that I would sell it would be at farmers markets. And so I would get in with the farmers and talking to them and making friends with them. One of the things that I found was exactly what you guys said, which is a lot of it goes to waste. And I was like, well, what goes to waste? And they said, for instance, our cantaloupes oftentimes are not, aesthetically pleasing, but they still taste good. And I was like, want to sell them to me? And they would sell them to me extraordinarily cheaply. Sometimes they just give me like a whole bushel of them and say, I can't sell these, or it's split overnight or whatever. And I'm like, that's great because these are ultra ripe. So they've got super high sugar content, super high flavor. And I would use those and make the most delicious cantaloupe sorbet, for instance, using that example. So glad to hear how you guys are sourcing yours as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting, right? Because some of the cauliflower that we found, especially in the early days when we do our trial, that would be, considered waste. It was absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, big cauliflower heads. Some would have like a purple color on them, and that's rejected, but actually that purple color means it's got high antioxidant value, so it's actually better for you to have that cauliflower. So it is quite a sad thing, actually, the amount of vegetables that just are left.
Go to waste.
Yeah.
Rot in the field or just get composted. It's really sad. So I wish you guys all the success with Eat Kinda. I want to talk a little bit about New Zealand because it's a country that I love. It's a place that I loved visiting. My girlfriend and I often talk about New Zealand. I still have my New Zealand T-shirt is hanging on by a thread, but I still wear it as pajamas almost every night. So it's a very dear to my heart place. Milli, you're based in Wellington. Talk to me a little bit about your city because I think it's such a hip, cool place. What are some of your favorite things about Wellington?
Oh, I absolutely love Wellington. So I'm born and bred Wellingtonian. It's a great city because you've got the beach. Everything's a good 20-minute drive away, right? You've got the beach one side, you've got the city centre one side, you've got a bit of an artsy cultural scene happening, a little bit more of a hipster vibe at the same time. Great vegan, vegetarian food. You've also got the government, parliament, more sort of, very politically aware. So yeah, you've got a bit of everything for every kind of person. 10 minutes walk from my house, I'm up in the bush with beautiful views, 360 views of the ocean, and just it's absolutely gorgeous. We love it here. And I know, Brent, you had a great time when you were here as well. And yeah, I think Wellington's definitely known for its food scene. I'm not personally a beer drinker, but there's a beer Varna that happens here every year. There's a Wellington on a plate that happens here every year where lots of the local sort of food places innovate and put together, nice dishes with wine. And it's just the scene that everyone loves to enjoy. Oh, and also the coffee's great here. If you love coffee.
Yeah, no, you're selling it to me, Milli. You're selling it to me.
Yeah, the coffee scene is massive here as well. Wellingtonians love their coffee.
Flat white, it's and I love talking to people from New Zealand and Australia and letting them go at it as to who invented the flat white. But you can't go wrong in Wellington getting a flat. I wish I had my notes in front of me because there are so many great Wellington coffee shops where you can get a flat white. Milli, do you have a favorite?
Oh, look, I go on about the coffee thing, right? Because I actually was a barista as soon as I was 15, because that's just exactly what you do in Wellington. So I had so much coffee at such a young age that I just can't have it anymore. So I'm now a matcha drinker. And we get really good matcha here as well.
Nice.
I would definitely recommend Supreme Cafe. If your Coffee Supreme might be one that you checked out, or People's. They're like the local Wellington coffee roasters, and they're just beautiful. Like, it smells amazing.
People's, I love that place. What about a vegan restaurant in Wellington that you can recommend to the folks listening today?
Oh, so there's this delicious pizza place called Nolita's on Cuba Street. If you're ever in Wellington, it's a complete. Jenny loves it. Vegan Italian restaurant. So, and their cheese is just like so dairy cheese like. It's insane. I have no idea how they do it. And then the other place would be Bell and Bakery, which is actually rated the best bakery in town, but it happens to be vegan. So yeah, they do amazing like donuts, croissants, just savory scones, just beautiful, delicious, and they sell matcha.
So you're there all the time. I'm always looking for a good vegan cheese. It's difficult to find good vegan cheese in the grocery stores here in Portugal. There are a couple producers in Lisbon. They don't have great distribution, so I wish there would be more really good vegan cheese here. That's one thing that's lacking just a little bit. Although like I said, there are producers. It's a little difficult to find them. Jenny, you're based in Taranaki.
So, well done, Taranaki.
Taranaki. Okay. And I'm not familiar with this city, but I think it's the university town. Is that correct?
No. Wellington and Auckland would be the university towns, wouldn't they, Millie? Taranaki is, or New Plymouth. New Plymouth. Have you seen The Last Samurai, a Tom Cruise movie?
I'm familiar with it. Haven't seen the movie.
Yeah. So the movie was filmed here. So Taranaki has Mount Taranaki, which is a similar shape to Mount Fuji, and it's on the west coast of the North Island. So we're surrounded by rugged beaches and black sand, and we also have the mountain which snows on it, and it's a live volcano.
Oh, cool. I like it.
Yeah.
When you're not busy experimenting and making ice cream, what do you like to do in the town?
Wild Pear Cafe. It's a beautiful cafe that sells delicious food and lots of shakes. Like they do the Oreo shakes and the cookie shakes and chocolate sundaes and things like that, as well as really beautiful salads.
Sounds divine. How do we get there? It sounds a little rugged. Is there access to it? We have to drive? One thing I found in New Zealand was the transit between cities wasn't the greatest. So
yes,
we got to drive out there, I assume, Jenny?
Yeah, so it's around 5 hours drive from Auckland, or about 5 hours drive from Wellington. So we're sort of in the middle bit on the west coast of the North Island. And there really is only one major highway in and out. So if something goes wrong with that, we are a bit isolated.
So a lot of outdoor activities, adventures and things like that?
Yeah, lots of surfers and like mountain climbing, bike riding. So a lot of outdoor activities here.
Paratutu?
Yeah, Paratutu Rock, which is down by the ocean, but it probably half an hour walk up, but it's quite rugged as well.
We just did a wonderful walk in Peniche, and this is a dormant volcano. So I'm just, as you're describing this, I'm just thinking, oh, kind of similar to what we were doing yesterday, climbing up and down these rocks and going into the caves and things like that, and had our own little New Zealand-like adventure right here in Portugal.
What's probably interesting, though, is Jenny sees all these things, but she has such a lovely home that I think Jenny should share about, that I don't think she actually leaves the house that much.
Well, I'm trying to sell New Plymouth to you, but I really don't go out. I'm quite happy staying at home on my little plot of land. But if anyone's listening, yeah, Google Mount Taranaki in New Zealand, and you'll get to have a good view at how beautiful it is.
You said you've got a nice plot of land there, Jenny. You're growing any fruits and veggies?
Yeah, so we've got around 110, 115 fruit and nut trees. We've got avocados, walnuts, almonds, mandarins, oranges, apples, artichokes, pears, nashi pears, like it just goes on, feijoas, pumpkin.
I think you're
Strawberry.
I think you're underselling it by calling it a little plot of land. It sounds pretty vast.
Yeah, it keeps us busy.
Do you ever think of experimenting with some of these items in your vegan ice cream?
Look, when I have time, I do have this little goal that I want to achieve, because we also grow yacon in our garden, which is, if you haven't heard of it, it looks a little bit like a sweet potato, and it grows underground like a sweet potato, but it's crunchy and juicy like an apple. And what we do is we juice it down and then we simmer it, and it turns into like a maple syrup. Similar to maple syrup, but it's got a low GI, so like it's really good for diabetics and things because it doesn't affect their insulin levels. And I'd love to make an ice cream with only ingredients out of my garden. So now that we've got this yacon syrup, I've got my own sugar, and because we've got almonds and walnuts and avocados, I've got the fat sources. So it's just that's my little challenge that I'd like to do one day.
This sounds very familiar to me. The word that I always used to say when I would go into this experimental mode is I'm putting on my mad scientist hat and just experimenting with new flavors. I used to have a pretty big garden, not as big as yours, it sounds like, but one of my favorites that I used to experiment with was infusing purple basil into the gelato, because the purple basil that we grew had an anise flavor. So it kind of tasted like like licorice a little bit. Some people love licorice, some people hate it, but no one said it wasn't interesting.
Yeah, I do love experimenting.
Well, it's been a delight to talk to you both, Milli and Jenni from Eat Kinda in New Zealand. I'm looking forward to your Portuguese and your American distribution, but until then, maybe I can get down to New Zealand and try a little bit of your ice cream. It sounds delightful. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, we'd love that.
Okay, that's Milli Kumar and Jenni Matheson from Eat Kinda Ice Cream. You can find out more at eatkinda.com. That's KINDA. What a great idea they have going. Can't wait to try some. They need to get some ice cream to Portugal. Well, that's it for this week. Next week, it's all about cheese. We're trying poutine from Quebec, pecorino from Sardinia, blue cheese from Nova Scotia, and much, much more. Don't miss that. Until then, check out destinationeatdrink.com to satisfy your travel itch. I just posted a new story about a delicious sweet treat with a gross name. You can read that at destinationeatdrink.com/blog. I also just released a new video. I go over what I think are the top 5 pastries in Portugal. And believe me, I've sampled a lot of them over the last 3 years. You can see that by clicking on the video tab at destinationeatdrink.com or by going to my YouTube channel at Destination Eat Drink 946. And don't forget, my foodie travel guides from Destination Eat Drink are available at Buy Me a Coffee. Download the Best of Lisbon or Cordoba or any of the many others by clicking on the Extras tab at buymeacoffee.com/Destination Eat Drink. Did I mention they make a great gift? Thank you very, very much. Destination Eat Drink is distributed by the Radio Misfits Podcast Network and Ed Silla. Thanks, Ed. I'm Brent Peterson. I'll see you down the road.
Join us next week for another culinary adventure on Destination Eat Drink, a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network.